And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, I accidentally pulled the trigger on AEW Fight Forever, and I did not get the standard edition. I went all the way in with the season pass and everything. I was just trying to see how much it would be with tax. Shouldn't have used the PlayStation app on my phone. I should have done it on the console. Well, I'm getting the game. How you doing today?
Well, first of all, let's celebrate this milestone. It's not even an accomplishment. It's a milestone. We got you to not only buy the game, but pre-order it. I'm tempering my expectations, Brad. I know you're yearning for a wrestling video game that reminds you of the ones you like. Fight Forever definitely seems to be taking a unique approach. There's been a lot of screenshots and videos released on the timeline over the last week. So you seem pretty optimistic about it. I'm optimistic about it. Both of us are going to have this game. So I cannot wait. I'm doing great today, man. I'm so happy to see you. I know we have a lot to talk about wrestling and otherwise. So I couldn't ask for much more, man. How are you?
I'm good. Getting things done around the house, putting a shed up, eventually building a platform for the shed so I can build the shed, but I need the shed to undo all the stuff in the garage to be able to build the platform. It's a nightmare. So trying to get it done before it gets really, really hot. You and I both spent some time outdoors today, and it was not for the faint of heart. It was a sweaty mess when I came inside today. I had sawdust just in creases in my face. It was just, It was bad.
Yeah, it's wild. We shouldn't be surprised, but man, you just have to really maximize your productivity so early in the day.
Yeah.
I think when it gets to 11 o'clock,
yep,
all of us Arizonans know, okay, if you're going out past 11, you're tempting fate at that point. You got to hydrate, put on that sunscreen, no lower than SPF 50, and just take your chances, I guess, because you waited too long, which is usually what I do on the weekends.
I was outside, and I think the neighbors went by and they saw me like practically in a dead sprint in the driveway, flinging around my tools, my drills, grabbing stuff. I pick up a screw and my fingers were burning because everything was just on fire out there. And I think people thought there was something wrong because I was trying to build so fast. I'm like, no, I'm just hot. It's really hot. I'm on top of concrete right now, outside, no shade, no cover, sitting in the middle of my driveway, just baking. Yeah, I'm going to be moving.
Of course, you got the work boots on, and you're not out there in some chanclas. Like you got to do this right. Safety is paramount here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just rushing. The only break I took was to get some water and to put on some sunscreen, like you said, because I was like, and guess what time I went out there? By the time that I was actually outside building, not cutting, but building, it is 11:15.
I told you, man, 11 is that cutoff. I went outside and shot hoops at, I think it was 11 on the dot, right? But at that point, it's maybe 92, 94, which doesn't look so bad when you're checking your weather app. But like you said, when you're out there and there's no shade, it's what we signed up for.
Yeah, the sun raises the temp about 100,000 degrees. So
agreed.
There is that. It's if you haven't been to if you're listening from some other state, I cannot explain to you the power of shade in Arizona. It is weird. It's not like anywhere else. I grew up in Michigan. If it got really, really hot, it was just always really, really hot. Like 95 degrees was 95 in oppressive heat because it was humid. 95 in Arizona is not that bad. You go outside in 95 degrees and you hit the shade and you're like, oh, it's a really nice day. That breeze feels great. You step into the sun and you're immediately bursting into flames. There's no in between. And there's like a 30 to 35 degree temperature swing between night and day because it'll be 95 in the day and like 68 at night. And it doesn't make any sense. All Arizonans know that it's heat on in the morning and air on in the afternoon. As soon as like early spring hits or late fall hits, it's just the way it is. It's what we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of living, man, we are living well. I'm not only doing well because I'm here with you today, Brad, and I'm excited to hear your questions. I'm excited to ask you my questions, but we also have to celebrate for a moment. This June marks the second anniversary of the founding of 19 Media Group, and we would love for you all to celebrate this anniversary with us. We're hosting a swag giveaway to thank you for your amazing support. Win exclusive 19 Media Group merchandise like limited edition t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and much more. To enter, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Comment happy birthday on our anniversary posts, and you are entered. And again, this is at 19M Group on Twitter. You can search 19 Media Group on YouTube. Obviously, you hopefully know where to find us by now at GIPod19. But again, want you to support the 19 Media channel specifically. You have 3 ways to enter. You have 3 chances to win. The giveaway runs the entire month of June, ending on the 30th. Winners will be contacted via DM. Engage with us for a chance to win these dope prizes. Thank you for being a part of our journey.
I feel like we were just celebrating the first, right?
We really were. We
some,
absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
I remember that
some clips.
vividly.
Yeah, we had some people come on, talk about what it means to them, and it was a good time. And that was a year ago already.
It's hard, surreal.
No, absolutely crazy.
Shout out to 19 Media Group. Shout out to all of you for being here and supporting us.
Yeah, it means a lot. We appreciate you, Tyler. Let's dive in. Let's get into the conversation. Hit me with your first WWE question.
I'm so excited. So lots to discuss. I have a list here, bullet points. Ronda and Shayna are tag champs. LA Knight and Zelina Vega qualified for Money in the Bank. I actually watched both of those live. I was proud of myself. As you alluded to, Brad, Bianca Belair's presentation is being tweaked. Solo turned on his brothers to side with Roman. Great way to end SmackDown. Yes, he did. Samoan Spike. Damian Priest has a huge title match against Seth Rollins on this upcoming Raw. And Michin, the artist formerly known as Mia Yim, is catching bodies on Twitter. I know you saw that too.
Wow.
But I want to talk about Iyo Sky. She interrupted Asuka's appearance on the Grayson Waller effect during SmackDown, proclaiming that she will win Money in the Bank and dethrone Asuka. I think this match is definitely happening, likely at SummerSlam, or at least I'm hopefully speaking it into existence. Here's my question for you, though. Would that show, assuming Iyo does win Money in the Bank, would that show, the show being SummerSlam, be too soon to take the title off Asuka? Or is Iyo so hot right now that you believe it's time for her to win her first singles title gold on the main roster?
I don't think it's too soon. I think that would be a good place to do it. It'd be a big moment. I don't know how it'll play out. I feel like the split for Damage Control will happen first. And I don't know what is in between now and then. What is it between Money in the Bank and SummerSlam?
Oh boy. I don't know that there is one. I'll check on that.
Yeah, because SummerSlam is usually August, isn't it? So there has to be something next month. Because Money in the Bank is this month. Great American Bash is an NXT thing. I don't know what would be. Yeah, I have no idea.
Money in the Bank is July 1.
Oh, it is July.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. They catch us right at that perfect spot. End of June, but beginning of July. And then obviously we know SummerSlam typically is in August. I'll double check that date though.
I don't know that. I don't know that it happens at SummerSlam then, unless they make it like a triple threat or something. I could see Iyo winning Money in the Bank, Bayley getting the title shot, and then Iyo cashing it in on Bayley after she beats Asuka. Could be a way to go. But that Bayley Iyo thing is going to happen. Things are going to fall apart at Money in the Bank, right? Like they're both in the match. It makes a ton of sense. So I don't know when that happens. I don't think it's too soon. Asuka's not to say that there's. I'm trying to carefully craft this sentence as a 41-year-old man. She's my age. I think she might be a little older than I am. I don't know how long of a run she wants to do because she looks like she's 20 out there. She looks incredible. I don't know what their plans for her are. I don't know what you do with this character if you kill it right away. So I'm ready for both. I would love to see Iyo win it, but I also don't want to see Asuka's run stop because I don't know what you do with her if she's not champ. I think she's a great champ to have with this character because it's like who beats it? Iyo? I don't know. So to answer your question, I don't know. SummerSlam seems, I don't think it's too early, but I don't
Okay.
know that it's the most likely thing in the world to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was hoping to hear. I really think you have to capitalize on how over EO is right now. You bring up such an astute point, though, my man, in that we definitely need that Bailey feud. So I'm curious if the split of damage control, potentially Bailey versus EO, I'm wondering if that happens before EO's title match, right? Does EO need to get over the hill of fighting Bailey to then earn the shot against Asuka or whoever's holding gold? Or does EO take the belt off Asuka at, say, SummerSlam, and then Bailey perhaps is her first challenger? Because we know EO was giving major side eye during Raw this week. So maybe we continue to get the EO side eye, but Bailey ends up turning on her. Bailey can go back and DVR Raw. I'm sure she can check Twitter for the side eye. So I think we need that feud, like you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to where that's going to be placed. I looked it up. Great American Bash is July 30th. SummerSlam is August 5th. Point being, these are coming up incredibly soon.
Right.
But that reaction that EO received in Puerto Rico for Backlash and what seems to be sustaining, where they can go to every city and EO gets a massive pop, it just makes me so happy, Brad. We've obviously been Iyo Sky fans for a minute now.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize that so many other people feel the same way we do and are vehemently expressing it at these shows. I just think they're really catching something great here and hopefully capitalize on it sooner than later.
I kind of feel like that this was in the works for a while. I would say ever since they brought back Io's theme song as her theme song, that was the moment we were like, all right, well, it seems like they get it. And here's the thing about it. I think, I don't know, WWE, even with Triple H involved, is going to go, no, we need a baby face and we need a heel if we're going to have a championship match. Technically, they're both heels right now. So Iyo turning before that match would make a lot of sense since Asuka's working the heel angle. Iyo going in as a baby face, like a massively popular baby face, could be really, really great. And it would make sense for a WWE kind of storyline, I guess. So I would love to see it. I think the turn needs to happen before that match. But if Iyo wins Money in the Bank and that sets up the Bailey feud, we can wait for that match. That can happen whenever. Asuka can feud with somebody at SummerSlam. Maybe they have a rematch with Bianca. I don't know, but it could be kind of whatever until later on. And maybe you just wait until Survivor Series to have Iyo cash in, or even at the Rumble, who knows? But I definitely want to see her have that moment. But I also feel like they're probably going to turn her because she's crazy popular right now. So make somebody that they can get behind to hate be her first opponent. I don't think people are going to hate Asuka, right? Like Asuka is a bad guy, but not. Bailey can be that person, and I think she would be the perfect one to turn. So I'm hoping we get that match. I think that match is going to be incredible when it happens.
I'm so excited. Yeah, that's
Iyo? Hell yes.
Yeah. There's so many potential programs for Iyo, which makes me hopeful that if and when she does become champion this year, there are just all these situations and all these rivalries that I think are going to be total money for the company.
Totally agree, man.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Well, I also have a women's wrestling question for you.
Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Maybe not quite as positive as yours.
Lacey talk. Okay.
No, we will not be addressing Lacey Evans' hat.
The hat was it was a choice.
I don't even know what to do with it. It like a cross between Sergeant Slaughter and Cobra Commander, and I don't really know. Like, is it meant to scare Indiana Jones? Like, I don't really know what the point of this hat is.
It's a timely reference.
Yes,
I know you've been seeing the trailers too.
Oh, I can't wait. We're
I'm so
watching.
glad Zelina won, by the way. That really surprised me. I thought for sure Lacey
I was
was
so
winning.
thankful that happened.
I was stunned. I thought it was a no-brainer. Lacey gets the W, but I was wrong.
Do you think that this isn't working and we're going to get another repackaged Lacey Evans?
Ah, man, in terms of wanting to see every wrestler we watch succeed, I would hope not. I think there's a point where you can just have too many character changes, and then what do you do from there? The current iteration of the character is not for me, but I also don't know that I want her to switch it up again. That would be what, gimmick number 4 or 5 already?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. I'm also not a Lacey Evans connoisseur expert, so I don't know what the right move is for her. Maybe we need to give this one a chance.
Sure. Love the hat. So Shayna and Ronda are your women's tag team champions. And this happened, according to, I believe, Shayna Baszler, because Ronda marched into the office and demanded that this happen. It will be given attention. It will be given the care that it needs. The division will be built up. Now, about a year ago, a couple of black women in the company did the same thing. Demanded that they have TV time, demanded that the matches make sense. Tyler, we know how that ended. Do you think this is a direct result of Trinity and Mercedes and their actions and what happened and how WWE handled it? Or do you think this is something less savory?
I have to go with the latter. The similarities in these stories are very alarming. I think it's the latter, man. I mean, you could argue out of the 4 women involved, Shayna Baszler, Trinity, Mercedes Moné, and Ronda Rousey. I mean, maybe there's a discussion to be had here. I would say Ronda Rousey is probably viewed as the most popular, well-known sports entertainment figure of the 4,
100%.
even though Mercedes, formerly known as Sasha Banks, has been doing some things and is out here and has a huge fan base. I think Ronda's star power is such that even though it's not what it was a few years ago, say in 2018 or 2019, I think she still commands a lot of clout in that company. And I think they still really want to prioritize her and make her an asset and make her noteworthy and not just forgotten about, perhaps like they ended up doing for Trinity and then Sasha Banks. But I'm going to go with the latter, man. Alarmingly so. Obviously, we know these discussions translate outside of the ring, unfortunately, in schools and in workplaces, in doctors' offices, everywhere. There's an unequal treatment. And I think we're seeing that play out here, which is pretty awful and not something that I like to see happen. But I think what you brought up is important, man. I see a lot of similarities here. I think it's the latter. How about you?
Well, I'm gonna talk about, or I'm gonna talk around it without talking directly to it. I don't know that it's my place, but the thing that struck me is there is a positive that came out of this. Number one, we now know that we're going to have a program that is going to get hopefully its deserved attention. That hopefully the belts will get their attention, and that Ronda did good for the women's division. She went in and made sure that something was going to happen with those belts. Again, say all you want about Ronda Rousey being all of the crazy and all of the conspiracy theory and all of the just saying terrible stuff and to no consequence whatsoever. At the same time, she's, like, to your point, she's a huge star. And I do want to see her be successful in the company. I think to have that much clout and know that she's a real life badass that could probably beat up most of the roster if she wanted to.
Including men.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, she's one of the most famous combat sports athletes of this generation.
Yes, there aren't a lot of people that I like. You got Brock and Bobby for sure who could hang. Riddle could hang. I don't know that on the men's side of things, there's a lot of people on there that would be okay fighting either of those women between Shayna and Ronda. I don't want that to happen, but I just maybe Chad Gable if they get into a wrestling contest.
It's a good call. Yeah.
But my goodness, man. So I'm really happy for the women's division that this is happening and that they did listen. I'm hopeful that they realized what a giant mistake it was letting those two women go over a year ago. But man, to just absolutely publicly bury them like that, I'm still mad about that because there's a huge difference there, a big fat obvious difference between these two women and those two women. And at the same time, I don't know that I want to be burying anybody during Pride Month because I love me some Shayna Baszler, and I just it's neither the talent's fault. It's not Ronda, it's not Shayna. It's I'm not taking it out on them. It's clearly a company thing, but to have the company listen to them but not to the other women makes me really sad. But I'm also really hopeful that good things will come of this and that it's a step forward for the women's tag division, which has been absolutely, I don't even know if I could say it's been underutilized. It's just been ignored for far too long. Why bother having the belts if you're not going to have tag teams? And when you do, you're just going to wreck them. And unfortunately, the last tag champs prior to this with Liv and Raquel, Liv's injured. She's going to be out for a long time. I just, it's been flopping around a lot, and hopefully this stabilizes a little bit, and hopefully we get good stuff out of this. I think Ronda and Shayna as a team makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of the fan base, us included, have been forecasting that they were going to be the eventual champs. One way or another, the titles were going to be on Ronda and Shayna. They, like you said, they have the shoot background.
Yep.
They have the presence. If neither are going to be in singles title contention, that this is the way to go. So not mad at that move. And certainly I continue to be hopeful that they'll just prioritize the women's tag division. I remember the days of the Iconics, of the Boston Hug connection, and how this all started when they had that Elimination Chamber match to crown the champs. And it just felt so good and so warm. And it's taken so many steps back. Final point, though, to go back to your question and the comparison, as you alluded to, let's not forget just the fallout of everything and the fact that we didn't see Trinity and Sasha after that, Naomi and Sasha, now Trinity and Mercedes after that, but also what we can presume the directive was that was given to Michael Cole, what he said on commentary.
Right.
To summarize his point, not a direct quote, due to the unprofessionalism of Sasha Banks and Naomi, they have been stripped of the tag titles. Like, it kind of feels like that was probably a directive from the back, from Gorilla, dare I say, from Vince McMahon. And he probably told Cole, I guess this is speculative, but probably told Cole to say that. And then it's like, oh, so you also buried these women on TV. And we know that is probably never going to happen to Ronda or Shane. I don't want that to happen to anyone. But yeah, man, I think there is some uncomfortable comparisons, but important comparisons to be made here. Overall, like you said, though, hopeful that because the titles are now on two prominent women in the company, especially the star that Ronda Rousey is, maybe this will be the team to help turn it around, because you have lots of talented women there, but the booking has been extremely subpar for the last 2+ years. It's been disappointing, man. We want it to be better.
Yeah, I had to get my timeline right. They walked out in mid-May of last year, a little over a year ago since they left. And about 2 months later, Vince McMahon retired. So things have been different. Had the walkout occurred in August, I don't know that the result, I don't think it would have been the same result. I'll put it that way. I think it probably wouldn't have happened in the first place. I think it'd have been like, Hunter, this can't happen like this. Oh, okay. We'll make the change real quick.
Right. We were gushing about Shayna and Ronda, in their own ways, because they're awesome in their own ways. Let's not forget, for Sasha Banks and Naomi, those are two huge stars as well, who are very like you can make a lot of money off of them and their talents and their likeness. Like you brought up, we see Trinity now has the championship match against Deonna Purrazzo at Slammiversary. Mercedes, unfortunately, is injured, but is one of the biggest stars in all of wrestling. It's like, man, okay, so now we have the titles on a team that we're hopeful some changes can be made. But a year ago, last May, you also had the titles on two absolute superstars in your company, and you didn't make it a huge priority. So I don't know, man. I'm a little dubious, but I hope it gets better. I really, really do. I don't know if it will, but I hope it does.
I hope it gets better too. And speaking of betting, Tyler, are you tired of placing bets alone and not having anyone to talk to about your predictions? Well, do you want to connect with other sports bettors and share your winning strategies? Man, I'm getting all choked up thinking about this.
You don't have to be alone anymore, man. Sharps is here for you.
Yeah, look no further than Sharps, the social network for sports bettors. With Sharps, you can connect with friends, see what they're betting on, and even interact with their bets. The iOS app connects to all major sports books and daily fantasy platforms like DraftKings, which I got my bleep handed to me this week, FanDuel, BetMGM, Prize Picks, and Underdog. Here's the best part. If you download Sharps now and use the promo code WIN338, you'll receive access to the community to start showing off your betting chops and an opportunity to compare your bets with us. So, what are you waiting for? Download Sharps today. Use our promo code WIND338, WIND338, and start connecting with other sports bettors. Don't forget to share your winning strategies and interact with other users' bets. Join the social network for sports bettors and take your betting game to the next level. Tyler, I tried so hard to win this parlay. I thought I had a good parlay going. I picked Jokic to score the appropriate amount of points, appropriate amount of assists. I picked Denver. I picked Jimmy Butler over 25.5 or 24.5. And I picked Bam for under 15.5. He had 16 by halftime, and Jimmy scored I don't know, not even close to that. By halftime, I knew I'd already lost my $10. So I was very sad. I believe the next bet will be up to you. I'm tired of losing money.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a fair play. We got the next game as we're recording this. We saw the end of game 1, and we're anticipating game 2. By the time you're hearing or seeing this, game 2 will have already happened. I suspect Denver probably won that game. But yeah, Brad, I'm here for you, man. Denver. To me, Denver is so clearly winning this series, so that's obvious. And again, you're right on that. You're in agreement. But it's these exciting, these fun parlays that you can try to bet on. Jimmy Butler, I would have done the same thing you did. I would have thought for sure he was going 25 or over. I want to say he ended the game with 13 points, which is not a Himmy Butler or Himmy Buckets performance that we're used to. So I am happy to work in conjunction with you to try to score some money, some cash.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can't get worse than what I've been. I'm on like a really hot streak of losing. So
you started out really promising though, right? When you first downloaded Sharps.
I was just picking wins.
You were doing well.
That's easy. Pick and win. Yeah. You can almost double your money picking a win.
Yeah.
That's I got to start doing that again, because that was, for me, that was pretty easy money until it wasn't. I picked a team to win and they didn't, my man. And every time I won, I would just put whatever I won on it too. So I was like, I'll just rack it all up, put in $10 or $5 and see how far it takes me. And I hit a wall. The Heat lost it was that first game against Boston that they lost, game 4, right?
Right.
Because they were up 3-0.
Miami's in the finals somehow.
Yeah, it was like I'm picking Miami and then done. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. A shout out to Sharps. They're also on Twitter, which we recently discovered, at Sharps with a Z, SHARPZ app. You can find them on there. They are super communicative and want to engage with the community. So check them out. Support those who support us.
If you are on YouTube right now, it's the one with the Sharps logo. You can see it up in the corner above Tyler's head. They have been great. So support the people that support us. Tyler, hit me with that AEW question.
Yeah, so lots of possible directions to take my question this week.
Yeah.
I have also a few notes, and then I'm going to get to my actual inquiry. So we have Chris Statlander's first defense as TBS champ. I know you have thoughts on the booking of that match. We love Nyla Rose here, and fortunately, we saw a Chris Statlander match. Unfortunately, Nyla Rose again loses to a new champion. Takeshita and Callis earned so much heat from the San Diego crowd.
My goodness.
if I can confess to you without spitting on my laptop camera, which I believe I just did, hopefully nobody saw that. I almost asked you this question, Brad, of Takeshita and Callis. It was just I was so impressed with how much heat they got, and I think they handled it real well. But that's not what I'm going to ask you. I could ask you who is next for MJF. We saw that vignette where he's proclaiming "No one is left for me." It's kind of some Jade Cargill vibes there. I could also ask you your thoughts on Orange Cassidy versus Swerve Strickland set for this Wednesday. I think we are in line for a new All Atlantic champion, but I am going to save that conversation for another time. It's official. CM Punk is set to re-debut for AEW on June 17th at the United Center in Chicago. My question is quite simple. What do you make of where we're at now? The journey we've been on for the last 9 or so months with CM Punk, the speculation, the rumors, the Instagram lives. We finally got the confirmation from Tony Khan on Dynamite. CM Punk will be in Chicago. He will be one of the leading figures of Collision. Where are you at on this long journey now that we've almost made it to our final destination, Brad?
I can't wait. CM Punk's good for the company. He's good for the business end of things. Is he good for like conversations for podcast fodder like ours? Yeah. Is he controversial? The bigger story coming out of this is that they signed Ace Steel. That's bonkers to me. Like, that guy should not be allowed back, but they know stuff that we don't know. I don't know, if you very publicly bid a dude after throwing a chair at another human being, you probably shouldn't be allowed to be employed by that company anymore ever again, ever, for any reason. That's crazy to me. But again, TK must know something we don't, or that was the deal that had to be made to get Punk back. Punk is going to get having CM Punk back for the launch of a brand new show on a brand new night makes all the sense in the world for drawing audience, especially early on, to establish that viewing audience. And Collision, correct me if I'm wrong here, it sounds kind of like it'll operate most Saturdays, but not all Saturdays, because of being preempted by things. And if it's preempted, they might just not do it. That's what I was getting out of it, but I could be completely wrong there. I think it's great. I know he wants to do a program with Jay White. I still want the Jericho CM Punk payoff. Obviously, I want CM Punk versus any of the Elite. There's so many potential routes that they could take with this. I just want to see what happens. To go back before you answer this question, I think MJF very loudly and publicly burying New Japan in the post-match press conference felt he's done it in the past where he's talked about he doesn't give a crap about it. Felt a little bit too much this time. Either he's like really being a dick and he meant every word and he's just awful, or he knows something we don't and we're going to get a big match. If nobody's left, I can absolutely see them calling in like Tanahashi, or I doubt it'll be Okada, but Okada, good Lord. But you know who's out there that doesn't want to live in the States, but might do a program in the States, that hasn't signed his contract with New Japan yet, his extension. You know what I'm thinking of. And it would be a perfect fit at Wembley. So that's what I'll say there. I'll leave that open. But yes to CM Punk. Yes, I'm excited he's back.
Yeah. First for MJF, I definitely think we're building to a program there. We obviously have Forbidden Door 2 coming up. And then, right, as you alluded to, All In, All Out. So I definitely think he's working there. I'm really eager to see who his challengers are going to be, particularly at Forbidden Door, because I think we got that one coming up soonest. In terms of CM Punk, I agree with you. It's just so surreal to me that we're finally at this place. Like, we had so many conversations, like many others out there, especially those listening and watching. They probably had conversations with folks in your life, with fellow fans, about, oh my gosh, we're never going to see CM Punk in AEW again. Who's his first match going to be with in WWE when they inevitably sign him? And it's just been such a journey we've been on. But I think he just has such a fan base. He has such a body of work. He's such a polarizing figure that as you said, Brad, you just can't help but engage in the dialogue because you just don't know what is going to be next, which I think contributes to a lot of the allure of Punk, of Phil
Yeah.
Brooks. I am also very excited for this. I think this makes so much sense from a business Tony Khan end of things. If you're going to have a bit of a brand split here, where you have talent who works on Dynamite, talent who works on Collision, hopefully that will mitigate any potential issues that could form between CM Punk and the Elite or whomever. Obviously, Thunder Rosa will be a mainstay on Collision, it appears.
Miro.
Yeah, so Collision already being presented in a way that's different than Dynamite, right? Collision kind of has that vibe. I was listening to a podcast. It was definitely one of the Fightful podcasts, and they said, which is kind of funny, Collision is the in-school suspension kids if they had their own show or had their own class. Which I think you and I, given our background and given
Right.
the great work that you do, it's just funny. Like, okay, yeah, we're familiar with ISS.
Yeah.
We know all about it. I think Collision having that vibe is actually really, really cool, and hopefully will lead to really, really great numbers and just a lot of support from the fan base. So I'm super excited, man. The graphic popped me. Not a shocker once United Center was announced as a location, but I can't wait to see what Punk's going to get into. CM Punk versus Samoa Joe being a first match back would rule. And this is just, I think this is going to be uber successful. I'm all in for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great, man. I have Collision. I have a Collision question for you, so we'll get into that rather than moving on. So Rampage, man, what an incredible card for Rampage. We had a AAA title defense. Zack Sabre Jr. against Action Andretti. As I was saying, I think that Willow and Emmy I don't think they had the greatest chemistry in the world, but I thought they had a really good match despite that. Maybe there was a language thing there. I don't know, but I love Emmy in the ring. I'm just so happy to see her out there. And you know how much I love Willow. Shibata and Lee Moriarty also had a great match. And then we had the end of the show with Daniel Garcia coming out potentially to re-challenge, I guess, Shibata. Okay. There were, however, a lot of talent that were on this card that don't actually work for AEW, and it didn't appear they were booking anything for Forbidden Door. Kind of seems like TK, though, booked it for the San Diego audience, which was absolutely on fire for these shows. So what do you think is more important here? What do you think is more important for AEW? Is it an incredible card that gets and keeps the audience hot? Or should there be a greater focus on storyline for television? And then I have an alternative second question for you as well.
Oh man, you are cooking.
Because this one was like, I gotta let
goodness.
this go. Because you brought up Collision, right? If Rampage is just an in-between show that just has great wrestling, do you see it functioning as an in-between show where Dynamite and Collision are the main storyline shows, and then Rampage functions as that in-between?
100%. Yeah. I love your idea there for that last part. I'm fully on board. Before that, what's more important? That's one of my favorite questions you've ever asked. Truly, man. I lean toward. Why can't we just have both? You have to choose in life. I lean towards storyline. But how many matches have you and I seen, especially on Rampage episodes, where the crowd just is not there for it? It may be progressing something storyline wise, but the crowd is super silent.
Right.
The San Diego crowd made a huge difference. They were awesome. If we compare Vegas and Double or Nothing to San Diego, it's like night and day. They were fantastic and increased my enjoyment of Dynamite and Rampage this week. I'm so glad you brought up Rampage because it was really fun. I'm going to go storyline though. Recognizing that I'm not super committed to that answer because I know how much of a blast I had watching AEW this week. But overall, I'm going storyline. I'm hoping that if Rampage can serve as that buffer and that different product of just giving us banger matches, even if it doesn't involve any AEW championships or AEW talent per se, I would be here for it. I think that's a potential solution.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe get some of the AEW roster on TV that aren't on there. Like the entirety of the Dark Order came out for a 20-second, oh, you're with your new friends now or whatever with Hangman and then dipped. That was kind of the end of it. I didn't really need that. But I'm glad they showed up because it reminded me that they're still there. But if we can get them on TV wrestling more, now that Dark's not a thing anymore, now that Dark Elevation isn't a thing anymore, now that there's the focus on those other brands and we're having a full on brand split, maybe that'll give them a lane to be more prominent on television with more TV time available for everybody. But I would love to see that be kind of an in between and just be like, no, this is we have talent coming in from AAA, and they want to wrestle X from AEW. Let's go. All right, I'm in. Hell yeah. Sometimes I just want to see Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, it's exciting. The blonde hair was also a phenomenal choice for him. I was just reflecting on I remember watching this dude in the Cruiserweight Classic, and he was awesome back, whenever the Classic was, maybe 5 years ago. But the blonde hair just really works. I thought that the way Rampage was booked, every match felt different and felt like a unique presentation, which really worked in their favor. You had the luchadors to start.
The opposite of Double or Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Willow, you already laid it out perfectly. Willow and Emmy, and then we had those other two men's matches. It was just a really, really effective episode. I don't know that I need that every week with a lot of folks who we don't see on the weekly product, but as a one-off, as a Championship Friday, I really enjoyed it. It was my favorite Rampage in quite some time.
Yeah, me too. That triple threat match to open was amazing.
It was so
just
good.
like there was so much good on this, and I love that we got the women's match on there, and they got a lot of time, and the Zack Sabre Jr. just slowing everything down to be a technical wrestling match, which is his jam, and working on Action Andretti's arm. That smash into the mat on the elbow, that first one, good God, I thought he broke his arm. It was incredible. All of that was so good. I'm with you though. I think I need more of a storyline. I'd rather have both, but if you can get a crowd hot enough for a match, you kind of stop caring because then you're super into it because they're into it and you're like, oh, this is important. And you can kind of let that override all of that. So yeah, there's a lot there, man. I don't know that I'm super committed to the answer either. But I think for TV purposes, I need more of a storyline. If I'm going to a house show, yes, that Riddle Seth Rollins street fight, Tucson street fight, Gunther versus Ricochet, all the matches that we got that night were a ton of fun.
So good. Becky versus Carmella versus Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. We saw that live. We did that.
Yeah,
we did that in Tucson.
Absolutely incredible. And we didn't know any of those people were going to be there except for Bianca.
No, Shinsuke Nakamura. We saw him live.
Man, when he came out, crowd went nuts, right?
That's such a beautiful part of house shows. It's so simple, but I know AEW is doing it a little bit differently with their promotion of house rules. But I think for our experience at WWE, it was better not knowing the card. We knew some faces that were advertised, especially the bigger name stars, but the fact that the surprise element was there, I still think about that night all these months later.
Me too. I'm jumping ahead here, but I saw the video. I'm sure you did the Chris Statlander, Darby Allin skateboard fighting and in Fight Forever, and then I saw at the House Rules show Darby doing a springboard moonsault onto a skateboard in the middle of the ring at the House Rules. Probably just because that video came out.
I haven't seen that.
With Orange Cassidy and Statlander in the ring watching him. So that's a thing that happened. Yeah, you'll have to check that out after this, but that probably would have fit better in what did we miss? Yeah. But now is not the time for that, Tyler. Now it is time to bring our audience with us on another adventure that you're going to kick off for us so that we don't do this awkward thing again of GI at the movies. Play the music.
And now, it's time for GI at the movies.
I think this might be a first time ever. We have a double feature on this edition of GI at the movies. Brad, I saw Fast X, which is no surprise to you or anyone who knows me. It is my favorite film franchise. But I may surprise you with my take on the movie. I did not have a good time. I went with my father. I treated him. I even upgraded to the Dolby Cinema showing, so the tickets are a little bit more expensive.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So we got the full Fast experience, but this one, I know the movies are really lean into the ridiculousness of it all, but for whatever reason, this one just was really, really bad. We had the usual characters. We had Letty, we had Dom, Roman, Han. Everyone was there, right? So the ingredients were there to make this good, but I just didn't care for a lot of it. I think Fast has this bad habit now of bringing characters back who we thought were dead, but then they just return a movie or two later, and then it's like, oh, well, what does any of this matter? Like, spoiler alert. And yeah, so please pause or fast forward if you don't want to hear this. John Cena, who is Dom's brother, dies in this movie. But I saw him die, and it was in a car crash where he was saving his family. And I was like, I don't even really feel anything right now because I know he's just going to be back in the next movie or the one after that, because that's what we've been conditioned to believe. Like, I saw Han die in a car crash that blew up several movies ago, but he's back now. Like, on one hand, I love Han, but also it's okay to let characters perish sometimes, because then it feels like there's actually stakes at hand. The way the movie ended was super controversial. It left us on a major cliffhanger, setting up the next Fast. And Vin Diesel was quoted on the press tour saying this is going to be one of a 3-part Fast saga. So I should have not been upset then when it ended on a cliffhanger. But one more spoiler: the movie ends with Dom and his son like driving down this bridge. Somehow the car doesn't blow up, even though there's fire behind them and there's NOS in the vehicle. So scientifically, you don't even want to think about it. But it ends with him and his son like at the bottom of this bridge, and they are cornered by Jason Momoa and this other dude who we thought was a good guy, but turns out to be a villain who works for the CIA. Totally looks like he could be a wrestler, by the way. Absolute hoss. But they have Dom and his son cornered, and they basically say, well, Dom, are you ready to kiss it all goodbye? And then we have one more scene, and the movie ends. So, it was just an absolute waste, man. Did I enjoy this? No. Did my father? Yes, he did. Luckily, so there was some good to take away from it. Will I see the next Fast Saga premiere? You're damn right, Brad. I'm absolutely buying tickets again. They have me hooked. I'm a sucker for this. But this was the first Fast movie in a long time, maybe ever, where I left the theater actually angry at the 2 hours of a Saturday, 2 hours and 21 minutes of a Saturday that I wasted. However, you did not waste your time at the movies. You saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and word on the street is it was amazing.
It was really good. A 3-part saga. There's 10 movies.
There's just no need for it.
A 3-part saga.
I know.
That's not a saga. It's already a saga. You can't have a saga in a saga. Go to hell, Vin Diesel.
We are getting The Rock, though. The Rock did announce on Twitter that he's coming back.
Well, we know what an incredible blockbuster magnet he is. What with Black Adam being so successful and killing the entire DC universe.
This is the comeback tour for The Rock. I'm going to see the next one.
I know you are.
And I'm going to review it on the show.
I will also light money on fire. I'll do it on camera so we can feel like we're connected.
We went to the Dolby edition. That was like $15 a ticket.
I don't know how long the music is for this, so I'm just going to be really brief. Guardians 3 was great. There's a lot of cute, adorable animals in it that die, and it's heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. The movie is full of heart, full of love. It's really funny. There were stakes galore. Every character you thought was probably going to die at some point, and it wrapped up the trilogy really, really, really nicely. It gave closure to like almost every character except for one, which led off with a hey, they'll be back. And it sounds like they'll get their own spin-off deal and maybe get their own solo film or TV show. And I'm here for that. I loved it. I thought it was a great evening of popcorn entertainment that made me think a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, and helped connect a lot of things for me in the kind of the expanded universe of things. And I'm excited to see what happens next. More than that, I know there's another Spider-Man in the works eventually that's been halted because of the writer's strike. But I kind of don't care because Spider-Man 2 is coming out on the PS5, hopefully later this year, and it's the reason I bought a PS5. So I can't wait for that. Granted, I'll only have the AEW Fight Forever and what I had left over from PS4 buys on my PS5, but I don't care. I did play Miles Morales again. That ruled.
Yeah, and Into the Spider-Verse 2 is also out.
Haven't been able to go either. Yeah,
I don't think I'm going to be able to see it this weekend, but I've heard from a few friends who I trust, and they say it is that good. It is a must see. I can't wait.
I can't wait either, Tyler. we have a what did we miss? And I kind of want to start before I forget. I'm sure you have your notes. Roman Reigns got a new title belt that is absolutely underwhelming to me. All they did was invert the colors on the WWE heavyweight title, not the Universal title, that had the gold outline with the gold logo on the black plate. All they did was flip flop that. Now you've got the black WWE logo on a gold plate. Super lazy, terribly mid. I hate this belt. I thought this belt was garbage. I thought we were going to get something exciting and new, and all they did was bedazzle the old one and put more gold on it. I hate it. It makes a ton of sense for branding. I'm glad it's down to one belt, but I absolutely hate this belt because it's just so not new in any way. It's just, I don't know. It's like putting new above it, but it's the same thing. I'm not here for it. LA Knight beat Montez Ford. I wasn't going to be happy no matter who won, but I'm kind of glad that it was LA Knight. At least the Street Profits can contend for tag team titles, but LA Knight being in the Money in the Bank match makes the most sense, I think, at this moment, where I still want Montez to have a singles run. I just don't know that Money in the Bank is the place for him to do it when LA Knight is white hot. That dude is so popular right now. And it only took him a couple of months for everybody to start chanting his catchphrases. It's crazy. What else did we miss? I know there's a lot.
Yeah, man. That well said on both. On the plus, we no longer have the Skittles championships, right? We got rid of the two belt situation. But I would tend to agree with you that the unveiling of this new one left me feeling a bit underwhelmed as well. You know, I love LA Knight, and I'm here for giving him his flowers every single chance we can. In terms of what we missed, we covered Spider-Verse 2 being out. The Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA are 5-0 and look poised to just be that super team. I don't know if we've got a super team in the WNBA for a minute now, but they're just dominating these games. You mentioned this earlier. I'm so happy you did. This is why you're one of my favorite people on earth. We are kicking off Pride Month officially, so shout out to that. And we just are, I think you and I are just really proud allies, and just so happy to celebrate this month, and hopefully more often than just, these 30 days. And then finally, Monty Williams is the coach of the Detroit Pistons.
How are you feeling about this?
I'm really sad. I am not very optimistic about the Phoenix Suns heading into next year. They hired a dude named Frank Vogel. He seems really well liked. He has a championship. Now they need to find a roster. But this isn't about me. This is about you. Monty Williams got the bag, like an 8-year, $72 million contract. Yeah. So I am so happy for you and all of the Detroit faithful out there. That is all of my what did we miss. How are you feeling about your new head coach?
I feel incredible. I feel hopeful. I guess if you're not going to win the lottery, this is the next biggest thing. You spend the entire value of a lottery on a head coach.
So true.
And it could be that the long-term plan is they're probably going to suck again next year. So hopefully we can accumulate some better draft picks along the way and up our lottery shots. Now every year it's like, oh, this person is the clear number one, and you never know what's going to happen. Could be a Greg situation. It could be bad knees and never playing and injuries galore, and nobody could tell me that Zion wasn't going to be the biggest star in the world, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. right? So having that first round draft pick isn't necessarily the best thing. I think the best thing is getting the most out of your players that you do have. And the Pistons won a championship by doing that before. So I'm hopeful that they can, especially with Cade on the roster. So it's looking up from here, man. I'm really excited about next year.
Yeah, man. I could just see the glee on your face right now. I remember feeling glee about my basketball team. I remember that. It wasn't that long ago, but I'm glad we could celebrate you and your optimism. Well, man, we've reached the end of another great episode of Gimmick Infringement. If you are hearing and or seeing this right now, thank you so much. I know we say this often, but it's because it's true. Every single listen, watch, like, retweet, text, it all means the world to us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, you can follow Brad on Twitter at Winduster. You can follow me at Tyler J. McDowell, and you can follow us at GIPod19. Like I said, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, don't tell nobody. We're wishing you an amazing week. We love you all, and we will see you soon. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.